and that's where my camera battery ran out. And that is where my camera battery ran out. But in all seriousness, I shot this video a couple of months ago now, 3 months ago now, and have just been way too lazy uploading it. But I find it really interesting that in the sporting world, we see sport as a young person's pursuit, and that you have to be at a certain level by a certain age, or you can't do anything, or there's no point in you doing something, or that if you haven't been doing that sport since you were a child or a teenager, then like it's not for you and you can't do it. And what that Masters competition really proves and shows me is that like some of the women in that competition, including one of the world championship, including one of the world champions, they didn't pick up cyclocross or really even cycling until they were already well into their like middle ages. And there's a kind of sense of freedom that you have when you don't enter a sport super young, because it's just a very different vibe about it. And yet you can still reach the absolute pinnacle of your age group and sport, no matter what age you are. And this is what I love, like so many sports have masters competitions, even Wimbledon, there's even like a senior Wimbledon competition. So, you know, masters swimming is a big thing. So in stuff like cycling and triathlon, duathlon, like they're big on age groups. So yeah, I mean, you're not gonna become an elite athlete in your 50s and 60s, but you can certainly be competing at world championships in your age group, like at an incredible level. And while my mother would in no way give herself any but also there doesn't seem to be any of the ego around it. Thanks, phone, for that notification. There doesn't seem to be any of the ego around it at this stage either. In fact, it was so refreshing to be somewhere where everyone is just having fun. Like, all of these people at the World Championships of the Masters Cyclo-Cross were just there to like push themselves as hard as possible, but also just have fun and really enjoy the community sense of it and being there. And it's so cool to see. And it really shows that there's this other side of sport that I think we really easily forget about. And, you know, I already feel like I'm, and I already, like this, and this is why I love duathlon and triathlon as well, because like I am at 34 years old, you know, I'm never gonna be a competitive athlete in a particularly impressive way. Like, I'm not doing these sports to rise to any kind of international level. I'm just doing them to have fun. And at like this kind of age and in this kind of environment, you can just go there to push yourself as fast as to push yourself as hard as possible, and yeah, like hopefully beat a few people, but also just have a really great time and enjoy the fact that you get to do this and to push yourself and to compete, but in a kind of a slightly different way. And I also think it's so inspiring that so many people are still racing and competing at like any age, but any age above kind of like 45 years old. And they're just going out there and showing to us that life doesn't end in middle age. It doesn't end when you're 50, 60, 70. I mean, you can still go out and do these things. And the more you keep yourself healthy and fit and positive, like there is no end to any of this, you know? Like you can compete in any age category. I'm sure there are 90-year-olds out there competing in some sports. There's nothing stopping you anymore. there's nothing stopping you, and there are plenty of people out there who also want to still be competing. There's nothing to say that sport is only for young people or people who have been competing for a long time or people at the peak of their physical ability. Like, that's not a thing. You don't have to become anything, you don't have to be a pro. You can just go out there and race as much or as little as you want, and you're gonna find a community of people who will want to race with you. What I find the main thing about what I found so inspiring though about that Cyclo-Cross World Championship was that when my mum started racing when she was in her 20s and I was a child, like, women didn't ride cyclocross. They weren't really allowed. There wasn't like provision for it. So like she started racing with like the children kind of thing. There's just like it's hard won, you know, the fact that there is now an entire day at the World Championships just for women to race, that is a hard won thing. And you can really see the evolution of the sport for women. And it's all happened within my lifetime. And by my lifetime, I mean I'm now 34. And what an incredible thing to be part of, to witness, but also like, this opportunity exists. Like before, women were stopped going into these kinds of sports, and now there's nothing to stop you. It's there. Like, for the World Championships, obviously you have to qualify to get in there, but Mum has been racing like all of the qualifying. There's nothing to stop you. If you want to try out a new sport or compete at a master's level, or just go in for, like, beginners can go into a lot of... Cyclocross can be a really beginner-friendly sport as well. Like, the community is so happy and so welcoming. And it's really not like a man's sport anymore. And especially at master's level, people are just so happy that other people are taking an interest in cyclocross, which is a weird sport when you think about it. I mean, you are running through sandpits, or riding through sandpits, obviously. You've got to like shoulder your bike and jump over obstacles. You've got to cycle through mud. You're basically cycling in a labyrinth in a field. I mean, it's a niche sport, but it's so much fun. And I think like almost the preposterousness of it makes it even more enjoyable and accessible, because you can have a lot of different skill sets to really excel at cyclocross, and everyone brings something slightly different. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and got a tiny little glimpse about what cyclocross is about, especially at masters level, and that if you're in your 50s and 60s, you can still race. Like, my mum has been competing for a long time, but there are women in her age group, in her category, and the former world champion, she didn't start cycling until she was in her 40s. So it's never too late, I promise you. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.